Hello and welcome to my second attempt to play the Heart of Obsidian campaign with the Helion League. As you can see here, I already prepared the playing field. So we have once again the Helion Expatriate, and as you can see, compared to my first attempt, I switched up his equipment a little bit. I have the double time expeditionary tactics, and I have the Adept Shaper just to give him the ability Molding Touch to get the Ignore Armor quality, which was painfully lacking the last time. Once again, we have the Citadel Guard, also with Hyperia Providence, and I hope that this time I will not forget all the shield rules. And the Flame Shaper, as usual in my case, it's with the upgrade of the Companion of Heron. So, as you can see here, I already measured some distance. I will get to it later. But as usual, you can see here, I mixed the terrain of Crooked Staff terrain. It's at the outer edge, and the terrain from Free Company for Eldfall Chronicle. And I think this is quite dense and very good playable terrain or gaming field. So without further ado, let's start the first turn of the Helion League. I will start with the Citadel Guard, who will activate and use a run action. This is what I measured up to here, 8 inches. Here we go. And she should be, this was my plan, to stay in cover the whole time, for the Earth Elemental to do not be able to react. And the next activation, I will just show you, 1 inch forward, 6 inches. She's able to reach the Earth Elemental, and I will just suggest that once she's here, the Earth Elemental will react to it. But actually, let me just move her into contact with the Earth Elemental, so that both of these get the engaged state. And the Earth Elemental's reaction, if we have a look at it, target is the active model, not engaged, target of melee on our side, dodge towards, so it's not a target of attack, and since it is engaged, it here will not react at all. But since now it is in the engaged state, it is unable to hurl at the rocks. And next will be the Helion Expatriate. As you can see here, it's about 6 inches, and then we have 10 inches up to here. So this is where he will activate and just move 10 inches up to here. Sorry. And what I also already measured is that this is within 5 inches. In the strategic phase, he used his artificial class to cast Molten Blade onto himself, so that he can ignore the armor of the gargoyle. But before he reacts, the Flame Shaper will activate, and the Flame Shaper will just move a little bit forward to get into the cover and be able to cast her Ignite spell. Let me just position her, with the terrain. She should be able to see the other gargoyle here without any interference. So the gargoyle will dodge while the Flame Shaper will cast Ignite. Gargoyle needing an 8 or less to dodge successfully. It's a 7. Therefore the Flame Shaper needs a critical hit with a 1. 2 2s, so no critical hit, and the gargoyle will dodge towards the Flame Shaper. Let me just place it here. 1, 2, 2.5 towards the Flame Shaper. So, and spending 1 reaction. So, why did I position the Flame Shaper here? Because I want to trigger her chain attack ability in case that the Helion Expatriate only hits and does not wound. Therefore, now the Helion Expatriate walks into contact with the gargoyle, who's engaged, and the gargoyle will react by attacking back. So, let's see, the gargoyle has a defense of 8. With a 10, it is unable to set a lower bar. The Helion Expatriate with a Molten Touch ability, therefore ignoring armor and burn. Burn is irrelevant since the gargoyle is construct, but 13 or less. 11 and 16, one hit, which will trigger the Flame Shaper's chain attack, one hit with Ignite. It's a 13. Usually she has only an intelligence of 12, which would be a fail, but since she is within 12 inches of the Citadel Guard, her soldier class activates, therefore she gets +2 because of Companion of Helion, counting herself also towards it. She's at 14. With this, it's a hit. Starting with the Helion Expatriate, who has a toughness of 12, therefore a power of 12, 12 or less to destroy the gargoyle. It's a 2, the gargoyle is destroyed. Even if it doesn't matter, I just want to see it. If a 9 or less in total for the Flame Shaper would have been also successful. Yeah. So this gargoyle is basically obliterated. Let me just put away the token. So, and with this, the Flame Shaper will once again activate against the other gargoyle. Will she? Yeah, she will. So, gargoyle is dodging. 16, it fails to dodge. 14 or less to hit. 2 and 4. And now, as said previously, 9 or less to wound the gargoyle. It's a 5 and an 18. The gargoyle is also with a 5 wounded, loses its single wound, and is destroyed. So, this is a much better start for the Helion League. I think the main difference is that I played it more aggressive compared to my last game. And I utilized the chain attack, which doesn't matter in the end, but the Helion Expatriate with Ignore Armor is much more useful. The positioning, the terrain is, I think, more favorable, that the Earth Elemental is not as much as possible as last time to hurl its rock. And let's see, in the first turn of the hostile, basically the Earth Elemental, if it is able to do any harm towards the Citadel Guard. Let me prepare that turn, and I'll let you join them. Okay, as you can see here, I prepared the first turn of the hostiles, and while I just positioned the camera above the hostile reaction card is, since movement, it does not have movement, it targets the closest enemy. Regeneration, it wasn't wounded, so no effect so far, but within 1 inch, check, mini attack with Earthen Fists. So, having a look at the Earth Elemental's stat card. The Earth Elemental will attack, spending its activation, and the Citadel Guard will react, also attacking, getting into a confrontation. And now we have to do some rolls, because, first of all, the Citadel Guard has Fencing 1, and let me just show you. Masterful Parry, target melee suffers -3 modifier. With this, the Earth Elemental's offense is reduced to 9. Now, the Glyph Scribe, Harperia's Providence. If the upgraded model is a target of a melee attack, the attacker must make an agility roll. Let's see what this is. Agility of 6. The roll is a natural 1. Okay, it was successful, so the Earth Elemental managed to avoid suffering a -1 strike. And since it's not ranged, this is not important, but looking at the shield, -3 incoming melee, -3 to incoming melee attacks in front, which is the case. Therefore, in total, the Earth Elemental suffers -6 to hit. So, -6 to hit means that the Earth Elemental has only a remaining offense of 6 or less. Now, the Citadel Guard will use her small bludgeon with a strike of stamina -1, therefore 1, but she's a sentinel, therefore getting +1. And now, once again, we are getting into the synergies of the Helion League. She's also a soldier, which is with a Flame Shaper combined. Awareness of 10 inches. This is 6. And this is 10. Here we are. So, within 10 inches, therefore, the Earth Elementals reduced offense of 6 against the Citadel Guard's increased defense of 17. So, let's see. The Citadel Guard setting the lower bar. 9 and a 2. both would be hits. The Earth Elemental, 6 or less. 18 and 7, 2 misses. Now the Citadel Guard wins the confrontation with her 2 hits. And since her small bludgeon has the armor piercing and stun quality, the stun quality is ignored because the Earth Elemental, as we can hear, the size is gigantic, which is more than huge, which is more than large. So 3 sizes above medium. Therefore the stun will not affect the Earth Elemental, but the armor piercing will reduce the Earth Elemental's armor of 10 to 5. The small bludgeon has a total power of 15, therefore 10 or less will wound the Earth Elemental. 2 17s. Therefore no wounds. But next, the Earth Elemental once again will activate. The Citadel Guard will also react to it. Once again, attacking, the Earth Elemental attacks the Citadel Guard, having to do an agility check with 6 or less, 12. This time, the Earth Elemental fails and loses because of Aparia's province, 1 strike. So, 2 strikes for the Citadel Guard, 1 strike for the Earth Elemental, sorry. With a 6, this time the Earth Elemental managed to hit the Citadel Guard, 17 or less. It's also a 6 and a 16. In this case, with the 2 6s, I would say both cancel each other out. So, 16 will hit. Well, actually, let me just reroll. Citadel Guard, 9, Earth Elemental, 8. So, Citadel Guard wins with 2 strikes. I think this is the most fair one. So, 2 strikes for the Citadel Guard. Again, 10 or less to wound. It's a 2 and a 19. Therefore, the Citadel Guard managed to bludgeon the Earth Elemental, giving it its first wound. So, let me prepare the second turn for the Helion League, and I'll let you join. In the second turn of the Helion League, the Helion Expatriate starts by using his Artificial class to cast Molting Touch onto himself, therefore gaining the Ignore Armor special rule. He is within 1 inch of the Earth Elemental already, therefore he does not have to move and can attack the Earth Elemental. And I think I will start with the Citadel Guard, just to get going. So actually no, let's start with the Helion Expatriate, since the Earth Elemental can react nevertheless. The Helion Expatriate has 2 attacks. The Earth Elemental, since it's in its reactive role, only has 1 attack. Let's just see if it's correct. Not engaged is not the case. Target of a melee attack outside of 1 inch, it's not. Or no line of sight is also not the case. Target of a melee attack within 1, melee attack with Earthen Fists. So, since the Earth Elemental also has a reach of 1 inch, he is also engaged. So, just removing the activation token. So, the Helion Expatriate has an offense of 13. The Earth Elemental has a defense of 14. With a 15, the Earth Elemental fails. So 13 or less. 4 and 14. So with this, he wins the confrontation with 1 hit. He ignores armor, therefore 12 or less to wound. It's a 2. And this is the second wound of the Earth Elemental. Since he was able to hit the Earth Elemental, the Flame Shaper is allowed to make a chain attack, which ignores the friendly fire rule over here, which is because of these 2 are in base contact. So, ignoring a friendly fire rule, she's able to use her Ignite once again. 1 snipe shot, 14 or less to hit. 17, no hit. Let's repeat this. So, Helion Expatriate has 2 attacks. The Earth Elemental has 1. Defense of 14. Natural 20 fails. Now, 13 or less. 19 and 14 also fails. Next up, Citadel Guard against the Earth Elemental. Once again, this will be a confrontation. The Citadel Guard has usually an offense of 12 only, and with her Soldier class, she will be increased to 13. So Earth Elemental has a defense of 14. She has of 13. Sorry, 14 and 13. The Earth Elemental wins. Let me just double check. +3 armor against range attacks and this one means -3 against range. So against range attacks from the front, we have a modifier -3 to incoming melee attacks. So the 8 would be the Earth Elemental has only one -3 -6. So sorry, with a -6, the Earth Elemental is only a 6 defense of 8. No, sorry, it's correct. 8 is the least the most the Earth Elemental could roll. It did, so everything is fine. As I said previously, I hope that I remember rule. I hope that I did. So the Earth Elemental has a toughness of 16 minus the armor of 6, so 10 or less. It's a 6, and with this, the Citadel Guard is also wounded. And I think I just learned something. I will not activate the Citadel Guard again this turn. I will just move the Flame Shaper. Let me just place down the ruler. She will walk up to here and stay where she is. Don't get greedy. I think the Citadel Guard is most useful by letting the Earth Elemental engage. Which brings us back to the next turn of the Earth Elemental. Let me just place down the activation marker. So the Earth Elemental has 2, he has 2, Citadel Guard has 2, and the Flame Shaper has 2. So the Earth Elemental will activate by attacking the Citadel Guard, since it's the normal hostile behavior. The Citadel Guard obviously will react by attacking the Earth Elemental, and the Helion Expatriate will also react by making an attack at the Earth Elemental. As you can see, I removed 1 damage from the Earth Elemental due to its regeneration skill. So with this, let me start with the confrontation of the Citadel Guard and the Earth Elemental. Earth Elemental agility check. It's a 3, it managed to keep its 2 strikes. Earth Elemental striking at an offense of only 6. 7 and 20 is not enough. 17 of the Citadel Guard. 3 and 15 is enough. Armor is reduced to 5. She has the small bludgeoning has a power of 15, so therefore 10 or less to wound. 12 and 16 is not enough. And now the 1 attack of the Helion Expatriate, 13 or less to hit. It's a 3, since Molten Blade is not, still activated, therefore 12 or less to wound. It's a 5. The Earth Elemental gets another wound. Why did the Flame Shepherd does not make a chain attack? This skill is only available in the active role of the faction, so therefore this explains also why she did that. Last activation, and with this, the next activation of the Earth Elemental, same procedure as previously. Making agility check, 6 or less, it's a 19. The Earth Elemental has only 1 attack, it's a 5, it would be a hit. And the Citadel Guard managed to get a 2 and a 12, so the 5 cancels the 2, the 12 cancels the 5. Only the 12 of the Citadel Guard remaining. 10 or less, it's a 10. It's the 3rd wound. And now the single attack of the Helion Expatriate, 13 or less. With a 14, it is not enough. So, this was the second turn of the Helion League, as well as of the Earth Elemental. And as you can see, as long as the Citadel Guard does not attack in the active phase and only in her reactive phase, she is really powerful. So, let me clean up the board, and I will let you join after I prepare the 3rd turn for both factions. So, this turn might be similar to the previous run, but I hope that the Helion Expatriate is able to destroy the Earth Elemental now. Starting with him in the strategic phase, casting Molting Touch once again onto himself. And let's immediately start with this confrontation. 1 attack of the Earth Elemental, defense of 14. It's a 7. Therefore, the Earth Elemental managed to make a successful hit. Above 7 and beneath 13. 17 and 16. The Earth Elemental wins the confrontation. Armor 6 has the Helion Expatriate, therefore 10 or less to wound. It's a 2. The Helion Expatriate is wounded. And let's try this again. The Earth Elemental has a 15 above its defense value of 14. Helion Expatriate, 3 and 4, 2 hits. Therefore, the Flame Shaper is also allowed to try and attack. 14 or less, it's a 2. 3 hits. Ignoring the armor, the Helion Expatriate needs a 12 or less to destroy the Earth Elemental. A 6 is enough, and the Flame Shaper with a power of 14 minus the armor of 10 would have been a 4 or less. And even she would have managed to harm the Earth Elemental. So, with this, the Earth Elemental remains its 4th wound, which means that since it's an elemental, it will crumble and be destroyed. So, Earth Elemental is off the board, and here we are. So, let me just put it here. And usually I would wait, but in this instance, I will have the Citadel Guard activate, and she is on inspection duty. She will use a run activation to get into this building. And let me just roll on the building table, the first building. It is a 14, and 14 means a gargoyle immediately engages the model that walked in. Let me just have a look. Okay, I have to get a token for them. And yeah, let me just get the token and I'll let you join after. Continuing with the Helion League's turn. Since the gargoyle does not receive any activation points because it is not in the it was not there in the upkeep phase. Before I do that, the Flame Shaper will activate and run towards the center of the board, just so that the Citadel can activate now, since the gargoyle is unable to react. Using her small bludgeoning, she has to roll usually a 12 or less, but since she's within 10 inches, her awareness of the Flame Shaper, who's also a soldier, she is increased by her offense is increased by 1, therefore 13 or less. 15 is not enough, therefore the Flame Shaper is also unable to roll. So, now let's get into the gargoyle who just appeared. The gargoyle who just appeared immediately activates and will attack the Citadel Guard, who will react by also engaging into a melee, so therefore it's a confrontation. And also the gargoyle has to make an agility check, 8 or less. 16, it was unable to avoid the -1 strike. So the gargoyle, needing with its offense of 12 or less to hit. 16, it failed. Citadel Guard has previously 2 attacks at the buff defense of 17. 2 hits. So now, since she's ignoring armor, the gargoyle has an armor of 5. I would say it is rounded up, so therefore armor 3 remaining. 12 or less to wound the gargoyle. 2 14s, which is not enough. So the gargoyle again will activate and the Citadel will react. Gargoyle agility with a 6, it is able to keep its second strike. 12 or less. Natural 1 and a 5. The Citadel got 17 or less. 2 17s and a 15. And with this, the natural 1 is will not be cancelled. I have to read up if the natural 1 cancels all the other hits of the Citadel Guard or not. Let me just take a moment. I'll let you join after. After a look at the rules, a natural critical hit beats all other hits in the confrontation, therefore the gargoyle wins and ignores the armor of 6 of the Citadel Guard, which might be quite punishing right now. So it has a power of 12, therefore 12 or less, and the Citadel Guard is incapacitated. It's a 16, the Citadel Guard is still in the game. With this, let me just provide the activation tokens for the Helion League and the gargoyle. I think this might be quite a quick turn. The Helion Expatriate casts Molting Touch onto himself. With 6 inches, he's close 4, so he needs a run activation to get here. And now he will attack the gargoyle, who will activate by dodging the Helion Expatriate's attack. Agility of 8. It's 18, therefore the gargoyle failed to dodge, but it will get into close combat with the Helion Expatriate. The Helion Expatriate needs to hit. Natural 1 under 6, since Molting Touch ignores also armor. I will just roll both of them at the same time. 12 or less. Here is a 10 and a 17. Therefore the gargoyle is destroyed. So, first building was unsuccessful. And let me just reposition the Citadel Guard using her 2 activations. Or 1.5, whatever. There's no hostile remaining. The Flame Shaper also repositions. And with this, I would say that is the, I think, 4th turn of the Helion League. Getting right into the next phase, I will just spend the 5th turn repositioning them. So here we are, waiting for the 6th turn, and with the 6th turn, it will, let me just, this time it might be important. Actually, let me just get, from the last turn, the Helion Expatriate would have moved up there, because now the Citadel Guard is able to walk into this building. And let me just roll on the 2nd building table. It will be a 3. You find the passage beneath the building. So this is actually the first time that the party does not have to search all of the terrain. And with all the models inside this building, having found the terrain, the Helion League wins this game. So let me clean up and meet you for an after action review. Here we are for the after action review. So my feedback, it's still a fun campaign, and this time it went a lot better than my first attempt with the Helion League to play this the Heart of the Obsidian campaign, which might be, or I think it is because that I had more experience with the Helion League through my 2 versus games. I learned that the Helion Expatriate, the output or upgrades I gave him with the double search order and with the Adept Shaper is very important, especially the Adept Shaper I think is important for him, so that he can ignore armor in this campaign, since there are a lot of earth elemental, earthen creature. I learned about the Citadel Guard. Here's still the reminder of my mistake. She should not attack. She's a truly defensive piece. You just should throw her into the face of an opponent. That's my experience so far. And yeah, let her react and use a small bludgeon to cuddle everything into the ground. The Flame Shaper this game was able to use her chain attack a few times, and I think this is the main reason she's there, to provide chain attacks and in her active role a little bit of supporting action. I just remembered while cleaning the table, I forgot to mention who of the 3 is carrying the MacGuffin to secure the artifact. As in the first attempt, it will be the Flame Shaper who's carrying it. So this is basically her complete role, throwing little balls of fire as well as carrying the MacGuffin to secure the device, especially since the next mission they will be underground the Quarar Village where this game took place, and be able to secure maybe the artifact. And in my experience with the tunnels of Quarar Village, I would assume that they will also ignore the Colossus and just walk straight next to it, but we'll see. And with this, I think it was a fun game. I hope you had fun watching it, and I'll see you next time.